too, so you can see what I see. Awesome. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Awesome. Guys, since we are not that many, let's keep the conversation ongoing. I'm going to share with you some thoughts, and then I want to also hear from you what you think. That would be very helpful. And the first alignment that I have to do with you guys is I hope to not say anything new here. Like my goal is not to give you like brand new information or something like that. I actually was thinking of like, especially for the ones who are here, how can I reorganize the information in a way that like you can have insights and better ideas and can move forward where you are from where you are right now. I'm not concerned about functional stuff, about details or something like that. I just want to challenge you to think a little bit differently as a manager. So that's the idea behind this call. And yeah, that's it. So if you have any questions, please just let me know. Patish, ready to start? Yep. Yep. Awesome. So guys, if you ask me like how we are starting March, I want to make sure you understand two things. The first one, we were good. Like we raised opportunities for GE, for GT, we achieved the goal. We almost achieved the goal for global for realizations. We have like 91% of achievement and approvals. We are very behind. And today we received this email from the responsible for Americas from AI. We are decreasing global talent and we are growing in global entrepreneurs in this term. So like this make me think a little bit about like how this specific network is doing much better than the past one last year. And I shared with your LCPs and I also showed you in the last newsletter what's the situation nowadays in terms of productivity about sales, right? So I think you have seen this before. There's absolutely nothing new. If we consider, we have the better conversion here with Austin. We have Madison doing a lot of meetings, but struggling with the conversions as well. We have San Jose also coming up this month, specifically with the first opportunity raise for the year, I guess. So there are some stuff happening, and we can quantify that. And right now, I really believe that I got some insights based on my conversations with you about like how things are going. If you want to I remember having this conversation with Ben before during Realities Rocks, and you said, oh man, we should have like a better idea about like how the network is going as a whole, and that's the current situation. So we can see that like the people who are like doing the same, like people who are delivering something like since January, December, are the same people who are delivering right now. So there's absolutely no big deal about this. Like there's no brand new information. And here with Northwestern, Miami, we still have national partnerships, which counts for them as well. So best place specifically for global talent opens. And I'm not sure, like, what are your thoughts about that? So right now, I would like to listen to you about if you're supposed to tell me, like, what are the struggles behind running global talent and global entrepreneurs at the same time? What that would be?
I can go first. So it hasn't really been a problem for my whole team. It's been a problem for me. Since I split them off into different functions, I have a TL for global talent, and then there's 3 members under him. And then I have my own function, or my own team for GE that I essentially run. I'm the team leader of what the equivalent for GT is. So it hasn't been a problem for them. They kind of do their own thing. They only know the one product. It's a problem for me because I'm trying to pick up the slack where I see it. So I've seen a lot of verbals in global talent, so I kind of let that off. And I'm focusing now more on GE. And I'll switch back and forth. Like I expect to work on global talent more in the fall.
Got it.
So I'll speak next. One thing that I do is that I have a TL for GE and for GT, and I just do both where it's needed. But one thing I emphasize for my members is you're a specialist in that specific product, in that specific subproduct, but I also make sure that they know the other product, because what happens a lot in Austin is that you go on a meeting and you don't always know where they're going to end up on, whether they can take GT or if they want GE. And as you guys know, you can take GE even if you're like a GT qualified company. So that's kind of how it's doing mine. And then I just kind of do both as it comes and as it happens.
Got it.
I will go next. I think my problem is pretty much the same as the one Mel mentioned. Like many of my GE members said that like when they reach out to the company, they will find out that the company might end up being like more suitable for running GT. So like yeah, they also need to know the the other product.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Mike, do you have any thoughts?
I do what Ben does, except I have a TL for GE, and then I run the GT team myself. And then I do both, obviously. For the summer now, like for summer peak, I've actually spent most of my time focusing on GE rather than GT because there's so many startups in New York who need summer interns. And I'm kind of pushing myself more to doing that. So like most of the companies I contact, I have GE in mind. But of course, like Mel said, a lot of companies that you contact for one product might have a need or a want for both. So I'd make sure that my GE members, even though they have a TL running them, make sure that they still understand GT and everything that is a part of that program.
Okay, awesome. And Thomas, are you there? Yeah, I see you. About global talent, you are selling mainly global talent in San Jose. What are the things you are facing while like managing your team to get the global talents open, these kind of things?
Well, the best thing we have in terms of setting up meeting is our alumni network. And the thing about our alumni network is if we contact a CEO or something like that, they get really excited and they say yes, and then they stop responding. So that's the biggest bottleneck we're running into in terms of sales. In terms of the team, they're just still getting used to how to actually set up a meeting.
Mm-hmm.
I've been setting up a lot of meetings for my team, but they haven't necessarily set up many on their own. That's the biggest thing I'm running into right now.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Okay. That all makes sense. I think that while we are doing this call, we might answer some stuff. I just want to give you some like context. So I think you know this right now. During Rocks, those were the 3 points we kind of addressed during the functional track. So they knew that they were supposed to be doing sales. I also like spoke to your LCPs to identify like who were the ones that you believe that would be the most productive, the most engaged people. I think that by now you know who those people are. You know, you get like your little stars that you can actually expect results from it. It's like your right arm, your right hand, something like that. The last point, which is highlighting the personal routine and individual goal. So in the final track, we had like this number, which was not like a goal that was constructed and they said they want to do it. Was more like a challenge that I gave them, which was, what if you can bring 3 opens by the end of March? That was like the challenge, and I have had a lot of thoughts because you have seen this before, you have seen a timeline, and I know that when you are implementing something, you are going to struggle with 2 main things. The first one is, how do you get people on board to understand these and to have the skills that they need? And the second thing is time. Like, how do I allocate time to manage all of those kids at the same time? Especially for VPs that right now at the beginning of term, you are supposed to be one of the most productive members. You're supposed to be the ones like doing sales and like having an individual goal and managing your team. Those things said, I would like to go a little bit further. So you said, okay, you have more people specialized in specific parts of the product. Some of you are struggling with time. There are people doing sales. I mean, all the LCs here, like you are on the phone and you are like in the streets, like. So what do you think like are the main struggles? Like what do the members most struggle about? What the companies most object of? Like, give me an idea about how is this experience of trying to sell this and what's going on at the local level.
So I can go first. I guess the objections that the companies are having aren't that verbal, so like I'm not able to hear them. So, like, having a problem converting first meetings into those second meetings. Like we're having no problem getting into the door. In the meetings, like I haven't heard much objections from my members about what companies are saying to them. The biggest objections I've heard is the lean, trying to not having those trainees go back home, and they want to keep on someone for full hire afterwards. But like, I guess the biggest struggle for me is conversion to the second meetings and conversion of second meetings into contracts.
Got it.
I guess the biggest thing that I've run into, kind of like I said before, I go on a lot of meetings where they seem really excited at first. And then especially if you talk to someone who's higher up in a company, like a CEO or something like that, they just stop responding to things. Like just eventually they just stop responding. And that's been happening to me a lot, especially recently. I could say I had probably a good 7 meetings that went really well that just didn't lead anywhere because they stopped responding.
Awesome.
Yeah, so one of the things that we were struggling with here in Austin, and me personally, is that, like Thomas was saying, like you go on these meetings where they're all super excited for it, and like I'll sit there in my meetings and I'll like map out the action steps with the companies so they know what will be happening next, and then take those action steps, and then it takes like 3 weeks for them to get back to me. So I'm just like constantly contacting them each time with different means, whatever necessary. But that's one of our struggles, is getting them to contact us back.
Mm-hmm.
I'm running into a lot of the same issues, especially with like booking a second meeting or a third meeting. And in terms of objections, they're like basic objections that we practice on, like university talent or things like that. But I actually have heard some really interesting objections lately that not necessarily throw me off, but kind of put the company into not feeling it. Like, for example, I was pitching GE to a co-working space, and the person I was contacting said, "Oh, we'd rather just pay the interns, pay you guys to handle the sourcing and all that." And it threw me off because I'd never heard that objection before, and it just seems that a lot of companies are less willing to understand the idea of we're doing all the sourcing and all that.
Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if I understood quite well. The idea is the company would rather having you as intern. Is that right?
Oh, no. What I'm saying is, so in GE, it's an unpaid internship, but a lot of some of the companies that I've spoken to, they're like, "Oh, we'd rather just pay them like a hourly wage or whatever instead of paying you to handle sourcing in the visa process." Like instead of us doing all, like instead of them paying an administrative fee, they're like, "Oh, we'd rather just pay the interns that money instead."
Got it. Got it. Okay. Interesting. Nice.
Yeah, so for us, like if we try to reach out to company with cold email or cold calls, the response rate is really low. It's really hard that we get anything back from the companies. And we also go to networking events, but the companies who go to networking events are mostly the ones that is taking GT. And like for those companies, they need to pay GT the salary, and they would just rather find the local talent. Since there is a university here, there's a lot of people looking for jobs. Yeah, and for GE, like the best way I think is to just source the startup companies online and reach out with cold email, and it's the same problem again. It's really hard to get anything back from them.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So what I'm gonna try to share with you is an overview, like my recommendation to help you with those things. Okay. Like for example, in my I'm you can see this is like in the February guidelines booklet. Like I'm just usage. Maybe it's because I'm hurt. So I was so much I was so hurt already by working with companies that I just got used to the fact that the conversions are gonna be low. Like especially like when you speak about the first interaction to the last one. when we speak about raising the bar and like increasing the number of people, the number of companies that a member should be in touch with, and the workloads kind of things, it's not the first time you hear this. You know, like this is something. However, of course, we every now and then kind of facing what Mel just did, which is members stepping down because they think that they cannot give time or do something like how we are expecting. There's a second thing, which is sometimes I just feel like we get lost understanding what is actually the priority for my team and like what should I be managing as a manager, as someone, as a sales manager in this sense. And then the final thing, which is actually working hard with your people, like not just spending time with FTMs or things like that, but also like doing the one-on-ones and coaching them and giving them like more customized way. I know you have heard this before, and I think that the challenge, and I was trying to put myself in your shoes, is when we talk about implementation, each one of us implement it in a different way. So I thought with myself, if I was supposed to start right now as a VP and I'm March and I know what are my priorities, like how would I conduct a functional team meeting, you know? And I'm gonna try to bring to you some ideas of things you know, but how you can use to give a better use to your FTMs. So for example, I know you all have a plan, but what I would ask you is like, is this an individual plan or is this a team plan? Like, how do you work with the planned versus achieved with your team? When we speak about conversions, it's just like people on the phone it's just like your members telling you that no one responds to them, or do you have numbers? So like what I would like to hear, maybe just a couple of you, is like, how do you work with this planned versus achieved mindset in your team right now?
So something my team just did in order to do the working with like plan versus reality is I talked about, March is the month, and I explained exactly what that means. When I was like, it's not just Austin doing this, it's national, it's international, and kind of went through that. And also on the plan versus reality, something we did is I asked each team member what they wanted to contribute to that. In terms of like timeline, and I went over our conversion rates, and I was like, if you want to bring this many EPs here, if you want to have this many meetings, what is it going to take for you on an action week by week kind of thing? And I had each member write down the kind of numbers that they wanted to contribute, and then we all like shared them in our Slack channel, and that way everyone can keep everyone accountable was my plan.
Nice. Yeah, and just a question, Mel. Do they like get pumped about it? Like, do you feel like they are actually engaged and they mean it, or you think they just say something because like they have to?
No, I believe that they are engaged because I can tell, because then they ask questions about it. And when we break away into like GE and GT to kind of like discuss it further, they were asking a lot of questions and like mentioning what they personally wanted to do and why they thought they could do it. And so by them asking questions and doing all that, I knew that they actually were interested in it.
Got it. Nice. Thanks. Someone else would like to share, how are you working with this? Or you are not?
I mean, I kind of am to some extent. I guess I haven't done the full steps of all these. So like we have our own tracker and all these are covered. So like the opens meetings, and each meeting I have up the plan versus achieved for the whole function. So both global talent and global entrepreneur have their own slide of where numbers are at for number of opens versus what we wanted to be doing. And we see that every single meeting. And I try to talk to them, like I look over the calls to meetings and the emails to meetings, like conversion rates, and like refer that back to them. But I don't think they have accountability over it for themselves. And I think that's something I could do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what's the point? Like the human being, most of the times is a smart thing, most of the times. And sometimes some insights, they come when you actually show it. So, so like what I would recommend you to do is, in FTM, I think you do need to engage people, and that's what I would do. Like right now, as Mel did, I would make sure that all the members, they have just this eagerness to do something. So by March 31st, I'm gonna open 3 opportunities. Why am I saying that? Because you first need to see if this number sums up the month, to see if it makes sense, etc. But of course, this shouldn't limit you. For example, I do think that everybody who is trying to work with sales and like you have like the 4 upcoming weeks to work, if you are aiming less than 2-3 opens, there is something wrong with you, because you are giving your blood for that. You are trying to work and like you're trying to make things right. So what I would recommend to you is make sure you bring the weekly stats. So like weekly, like you know how many calls your team did, especially for I think 4 out of 5 of you, you might have GTTLs and GETLs, and you can get them to quantify like how many of those calls and emails were done, and like how many did get a response or not, and bring these numbers to your members. And then you're going to be able to bring them more clarity about if you are evolving from a week to another one. Because I think that what most upsets me is when we see like week after week, things are not getting done, and like people are just like frustrated and still like they don't have a plan to figure this out. So okay, if you do this, you have a big picture about where you are and where you want to be. Cool. What's very nice is most of you might be in contact with 200 plus companies somehow. You might have called them, you might have emailed them, like you all of this. What I would recommend you to do on your next FTM is, of course, you might have done this with some of those companies, etc. But what I would recommend is just get like a huge flip chart, and with your team, place all the companies you have been in touch with, at least, I don't know, the top 50 in prospect, lead, first contact, meeting, proposal. Why am I saying that? Might have companies that you're trying to reach for more than one week, and still it's not happening. More than 2 weeks, and still is not happening. So these kind of things, like they might be very complicated if you don't track. Oh yeah, Ben, can you message her that I didn't make it available yet? I will after the call. Thank you. So what I would challenge you to think is like how many companies you have each one of this stage. So you know like which is the one you need to put more effort on. For example, in Seattle is still struggling to have a meeting. So most likely because you have not been successful by looking the right people in the lead phase and not being very professional, like very technical while doing a call or sending an email. Otherwise, you're not converting, or you would be converting. So you know exactly which part of the process you should be focused on based on the pipeline you have. Have you ever done something similar with your team?
Yeah, actually, I do this with my team every single week. So we have a tracker where we do this just in functional. We have a list of everyone's companies from prospects to proposals, and then even opens for like my one company that has it open. And each member goes with their team. So like the GE team comes to me, and they all report to me to say, oh, this company moved from the lead stage to the meeting stage, and then I'll update that. So each week we repeat that, and then you kind of have a good idea of who you want to be moved up to the next stage week by week.
Awesome. And you have like a clear idea about what would be the current state for each one of them, right?
Yeah, for the most part, like it's from prospect to lead, first contacts, meeting, and proposals. So it's very clear about which each stage is, except proposals. It gets kind of vague about what exactly proposal is, if it's a verbal commitment or if it's like actual laying the terms of agreement on the table.
Got it. Yeah, I think would be nice if you can share the template you use to do that, Ben. And then I'm gonna show you the next step, guys. Why I'm saying that? Because you have seen this before during the WNC. Have you ever done something similar like this? Allocating like the status of someone of a company by a member? That's really clarifying. Like this is going to enlighten your life in such a way. Why? Because like if you have the numbers of the conversions and the calls, etc., and you know like who is the person responsible for, you're going to figure out which part of the process people are better at. For example, Simon, your global talent TL, he might be the best one converting from calls to meetings, for example. But we don't know if he's that good in a meeting, for example. So this kind of things, like this kind of spreadsheet, like the way that you organize yourself helps you out to figure out like who is better in each part of the process and who you should be actually focused on to follow it up. Because right now, I think the problem is like we have too many people doing a specific part of the process and they don't evolve in what they are doing because they get stuck. And there are people that I know that in your team that would be good to do something else and they're not. So you need to identify which part of the process your people are good at. So that would be my recommendation, because then you can actually like have a clear next step. And this brings me two things. The first one is the best sellers, let's say, the best VPs in the country. They have 1, 2, 3 spreadsheets, and I know exactly how Mel feels. Like it's a lot of different spreadsheets and links and a lot of things to fill up. Plus your EB stuff. I'm sure you also have like EB track to fill up, this kind of things. However, I would like you to think in the following way. Like each one of the ways that you try to visualize your work, it's going to give you a different perspective. So if you take a look at this, it's going to show you like what your members are good at. If you show this, it's going to show you like how many companies you have in each part of the stage and which ones should be your priority. And here, and these kind of things like might be a kind of upsetting to be updating all the time. But if you as a manager do this exercise at least once a week, it's going to help you a lot as a manager. And I would engage you to do the same with your members. Maybe this display with your strengths, like who are the people who went to a meeting here and like who had like the contract, who didn't, who is closer to do it, and you truly believe that's going to get it, kind of things. Do you think this is doable, guys, with your teams? No? Okay, nice. So yeah, I would ask you to do that on the following FTM. This slide actually Simone has seen before, because I kind of stole from Isaac in Seattle. So they had this alumnus. Simone, do you want to explain what he did in your LCM?
Yeah, so it's this given in a sales summit by one of our board of advisor. So what it does mean is that most of the sales happen in the call after the 5th call. So yeah, the more you follow up, the more likely that you will get a response, you will get results.
Exactly. So it's pretty much this guy from fucking Deloitte who showed up in the LCM and gave them like a sales functional training, like for everybody, very generic. And like I kind of learned like what pretty much I see here is most of the times we get upset and frustrated because we try to contact the company like 1, 2, 3, and we don't receive a response, or sometimes they are very enthusiastic and they just stop replying. But like what this slide is telling us, and like it's someone who actually has experience with business development, with sales, is if you didn't try almost 12 times, you didn't try enough. That's pretty much the message. And I know that if you ask our members how many tries did they give, will it be that many per company? And secondly, I don't know if the channels would be different. Have they tried by phone? Have they tried by mail? And finally, I'm not sure if they have done it in a qualified way. So did they actually do a good phone call? The email was like looking nice, was positive or not? So that's what I'd say. And I'm not sure. Have you ever seen this before? Like, do you see the difference? Like the companies who have succeed, did you see like a bigger number of interactions? Like, what are your thoughts by looking at the website? This slide.
Yeah, I think so. Especially for one of my companies right now, I started talking to them as a newbie, and it wasn't the right situation for them. So my fall semester last year, I kept following up with them like about once every 2 weeks, and it still wasn't the same situation. So eventually, I let that die down in the winter. But now I eventually started contacting them again, and they said they're ready to do it. So this summer, they're probably going to be doing GE because I kept following up with them and waited until it was the right situation.
Got it. Yeah. The same works for those companies, guys, who are on your pipeline and just stop answering. Like, I would say, especially for those in a higher hierarchy inside the company, like for CEOs, VPs, and directors, I just feel like these people, they are very busy. And when you speak about like closing a partnership, it might sound very complicated. I need to sign a terms of agreement. I need to do a lot of things. So I was thinking of like the problems. They are so small. Like they're so different, company per company, that I should have a better idea about how to follow up based in case by case. So I try to bring here, and this is the heaviest slide that I have here, and that's what I would like you to do. Like if you're supposed to say, Vinny, whatever English it is, but how can we make March different in terms of sales is most of people, they just get stuck on the excuses and objections. So it didn't happen because the company said this. It didn't work out because they stopped responding. And I know those things, they happen for you and they happen for the people who are also closing deals. So I think the biggest difference is how many times you try and exactly what you try. I have here, for example, some ideas that I'm going to try to address with you, and you tell me if it makes sense or not, okay? So for example, the company is not responding anymore. You feel like there is no sense of urgency. Of course, sending the onboarding package should be, but at the same time, not just sending the onboard package saying, I sign up, but it's like, hi, this is the onboarding package. Please take a look at the terms of agreement. Who is the person responsible for checking this for you and saying if that's okay or not to sign up? Who is this person? Usually, how much time does your company take to process this kind of documents? And give them like a timeline and overview about what you expect. So if we sign the contract by this date, I can provide you someone by this date. And you can actually like do a breakdown of each part of the process, date by date, so you can demonstrate how urgent it is. And there always works also like the be honest. So in order to like you can just like make a speech, but the idea is if we close this deal by the end of March, I'm going to be able to support you better. Is there something missing that you need right now to move forward with this contract? And I'm sure that some of you might have in mind a company or two companies that match with this scenario. Am I wrong? No? Yeah. Yeah. And to be very honest, guys, also for the companies, you're not the account manager, but you have someone else, what I would recommend you to do is always be, of course, on copy of those emails and make sure you have this. And of course, you might try to do it over phone and over email. And if you need, just like stop by the company, like if it was a cold walk-in, but I'm looking for this person. We have met before. I've been here before. Can he 30 minutes? Like this kind of things helps a lot. The second thing that I figured, especially for those who are speaking to the CEOs and VPs, is the mix of different decision makers. I'm not sure if mix is the best word for it, but it's pretty much you speak to 2 or 3 people and you don't know who is like the responsible for figuring this out with you, and they just like keep passing the ball to each other. Like what I would recommend is literally like making it clear. So guys, I want to make clear like who is responsible for what. So if I send an onboarding package, like who is going to be responsible for, and when we have someone working here, who is going to be responsible for the supervision. And you can define next steps based on the persona. So if you have person A, which is responsible for a specific part of the process, you're going to email about the onboarding package, send the timeline maybe, and ask for feedback. But if you're sending to the person who is a supervisor, you can give them more information, for example, about the sample of CVs that you would provide based in the previous conversations we had. So hi, previous in the conversations we had, we noticed that this was the need of your company in terms of talent. I got in touch with these countries A, B, and C, and I found like these CVs. So also I put myself available to help you find that. You can remove the contact information and say, please tell me what you think with what you're looking for. Would you be willing to interview these people? So this helps a lot. Sometimes also when you're not part of the meeting, you cannot tell how good the meeting was. So don't be afraid of starting from the basics. Even like if the meeting happened, sometimes it's better than just being a gray area. You can have, for example, your members to introduce you as also the vice president, just putting yourself available as the final responsible, and if they have any questions, they can ask you. Of course, onboard package and timeline. And there is something I'm not sure. I think Austin has done it already, which is introducing partner and BOA and alumnus like to companies to facilitate the communication with them. Do it like a referral or something. Not like a referral, but like an endorsement. You're about to close, you put them in touch to see what they think.
Yeah, kind of like that.
Awesome. And also something that I noticed is sometimes our members and us, we get confused about little details about visas. So sometimes writing a whole email about it, like sending materials, like sending more visa links about the J1, for example, it also helps to nurture your company. And finally, I've met, especially like for startups, for the ones running iGE, I see that sometimes they don't know what they need. They actually, if they're supposed to write a job description, they're gonna go crazy because they don't have like HR department solidified, like who can do these kind of things for them, etc. So sometimes we need to do part of their jobs. So you can, for example, description. So hey guys, we can provide something like this based on our previous conversation. That's what I would like to offer you. And yeah, for GE, we have the Launchpad, which is amazing. And also for Global Talent, to be very honest, the job description doesn't change that much. The job description is actually very similar, but for more a senior level, for someone who has more experience. So keep that in mind. And of course, the sample of CVs. I thought of like the problems, like, do you have like any other problems in mind that you think that would be nice to address? Okay, I'll take that as a no. Tell me something, is this helpful? Is this helpful for you? Yes, okay. Mike, Simone, the shy ones. Thomas is not shy, he's just not talking too much today. Why?
I think
Hi. Hey, what's up?
Let Simone speak. Simone, you're talking, it's fine. You go
I
after.
think it is helpful, like after I get to that stage, so I'll just keep this information down. So like in case some companies reply, these are the things that I can send them.
Mm-hmm. Remember, all those steps also are supposed to happen after the meeting already. Because also like doesn't make much sense like to just send the proposal if you didn't have the chance to speak to the company and identify an opportunity. But yeah, that's true. Thomas, you had something to say?
No, I didn't. I heard you mention me, so I clicked back really fast, and yeah.
Yeah, tell me something. Can you visualize your companies, your forecast, like here in those problems, and like see if you have next steps for them or not?
Yeah. There's definitely some people I've only followed up with 2 or 3 times, so I might start pushing that a little bit more. I also want to start pushing my team to start following up with the companies, because if you just shotgun a bunch of emails, it's going to almost appear as spam to them. So it makes sense to follow up with them maybe 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, even 12 times, like you saw in that chart before.
Mm-hmm. And this brings me to the next challenge. I think Ben mentioned that like you guys were having a hard time of converting first meetings to second meetings to third meetings. I remember that I knew that I needed a second and third meeting, but I didn't exactly knew like the final objective. Like, why would I need it? Like, what is this meeting compared to the past one, and what's going to be the difference? And that was when I had a hard time scheduling the second and third meetings because I didn't have like a clear a clear topic to discuss. Because in the company's mind, it's like, well, I've just done this first meeting with you. I understand your product. Thank you very much. You can send me the information and we figure out later. Can you tell me that you want another meeting? If I don't understand what is the final objective of it, like exactly like what would be, I would if I don't know what I want to address, like you're gonna have a hard time. So for example, if you wanna make a meeting, guys, if you think it's gonna make a difference, have a 20 minutes virtual call, a hangout, or go to the company just to discuss about Visa, go for it. If you wanna go to the company and just ask about how is the decision-making process inside the company, who is going to review the onboarding package, or can I go to your company and can review the onboarding package together? Like those kind of things, they make a lot of difference. Or for example, we do need to close this deal by the end of the month so I can service you better. Would be able to receive me by this date and we can review everything again and maybe get the deal closed after that. Like don't be afraid of being transparent about your expectations, but something that makes a lot of difference is to be detailed oriented. So why I'm saying that the follow-up is the nurture phase. Is when you tell your customer like all the things that they were supposed to know to make a decision. And sometimes you just leave like things aside because we think that just because we did the first meeting, it's done. So you can ask our members if you're supposed to classify from 0 to 10, how much does your companies who you have visit like know about Isaac and about the products? Like how much they would know, like what they know and what they don't. And by telling you, and if your members tell you like what the companies don't know is still about Isaac, you're gonna know about what to nurture about your companies. And then like the idea behind the feedback, why? If you just send an email without a question, for example, or if you just send something and they don't have the opportunity like to give a feedback about it or tell what they think, it's just gonna be someone else like send them an email. So you need to engage this person with the process by asking questions, asking literally like feedbacks. And honestly, for example, if you put them in contact with someone from your board of advisors, for example, that they would not respond to your board of advisor, they would respond this person because most likely someone who has at least a position to do. If you call them and say, hi, I sent you this package, have you had a chance to take a look? Can you give me a return like by tomorrow morning, for example? People feel that like they own you something. And that's what I would go for. Patish, does it make sense? Ben, do you have like anything more specific you'd like to talk about in this matter?
Yeah, kind of. So I don't know if I've been doing spin well or not, but the main problem that I'm having is, so I'll do spin and they'll talk about their problems, about what their situation is for 90% of the time. And then I'll end off talking about what ISEC does and especially like what the GE program is. And then we end the meeting, they said, yeah, this is really great. But the next meeting, the second meeting, one, I don't know if it should just be the presentation, like using the sales deck, or how we should be approaching the second meeting, how to book it there and be more proactive about it is something that I've been confused about, how to convert these good first meetings into the second ones, making sure that they're on board rather than they're just saying, yeah, this sounds nice, but leave me alone. I don't want to have another meeting with you.
Got it.
Is something I'm trying to judge, that I'm having trouble with.
Yeah, I remember that I had some meetings very similar when I was being a manager last year. And what I would do is like I would finish like the meeting understanding what was the next step and if the company was on board with me on that. So for example, okay, so we took a look here. So you mentioned that like you have problems with this specific part of the process behind recruiting people. Maybe we're not able to source many people, or because you cannot find people with specific profiles. So identify the problem and you can say, I think I can help with that. I have a little bit of information from this country. I have people working on this. Let's do this. Can I get back to you in a specific date? And then you schedule like the next meeting, and I can bring you more ideas so we can work on it. And most likely they're gonna say yes if they are interested on it. That's the thing. Like the proposal is not the sales deck itself, but it's something very customized that you do that doesn't have to be in a slide, to be honest, but it's how you conduct the conversation. So so guys, I came here because we had this conversation. So what I would like to discuss with you is this is what Isaac can do for your business. This is how I think that our organizations could be partnering. I think that if we deliver this by this time, you can expect this kind of things from Isaac. And I've seen people giving results in these matters for a business like yours. And I know that we can make this happen. What do you think? Do you think this makes sense? If you had to change something about this, what would be? What are your questions? And then you can engage them with the details about the process itself. It's literally like telling the company what to do. Like in the second and third meeting, is like you need to give them a proposal. You need to step up your game so you can make them step up their game as well. You know? Yeah. Do you have any examples, Mel?
So examples of times that I've like mapped out exact action steps.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I actually had a meeting on Friday with Cisco, and it was on the phone. And at the very end of it, we kind of talked about where we saw this going and the different ways that this woman could possibly utilize. So at the very end of the meeting, I said, okay, here are action steps, and I mapped them out very clearly. And then I made sure that she understood what was going to be her end of it and when we needed all the information by and the timeline that would be set up just for those action steps that we needed to do, because then that also held us accountable. And me accountable for getting her the necessary documents. And so she understands, she and I have a mutual understanding of what needs to happen by when.
True. Sometimes, for example, the person you're speaking to is not the legal responsible who is going to sign the terms of agreement. It can be that's not the same person. So what we can do is like, can you speak to this person and by this date give me a return about this? Or should you introduce me to this person? These kind of things. And yeah, like I would say that if you are the only one leaving the company with next steps, you don't have a partner. You have a spoiled child waiting for you to do everything else. You do need like them on board. Like you need to give them tasks. Like small things should be happening on a weekly basis. Everything that's more than a week, it's too late already. So keep that in mind. Cool? Awesome. So guys, and then like something that I figured, and I felt this way specifically with some LCs from tier 1, but maybe you can identify with this. There are some objections, some questions, some like misunderstandings about the product that sometimes the members most likely cannot reply. So the members are going to ask you, and you might know or you might not need to know. And then you need to ask someone else. So what I learned like about objections is if you're fast to like you don't need to give an answer right away to the company, because that doesn't even mean like you're being professional or you don't know the product. Sometimes you don't know what to answer. So you need to make your members like comfortable with the idea that they don't know everything. And sometimes that's what's holding them back to do the things right now. So the idea is if you don't know something, it's fine. You can say, can I get back to you by tomorrow? And I can speak to my leader and we can check with the national staff and we confirm. And that's what you do. And you move forward in the process. And when you do it, like when you give them the information, you can ask, is this the information you were expecting? Is this complete enough for you? Do you have any other questions about this? Is this clear? So you are actually able to move forward with the process without any kind of bottlenecks. Because what I've noticed is sometimes the company wants to do the raising, for example, but they don't want to pay the average stipend for your local reality, for example. Or they want to hire someone, but they want to hire for a different country. And then we make the problem so big that it takes more than 1 week to address it. So that's what I would like to ask you. Make sure the objections, they are being addressed in a 24-hour basis. And if you need some of us to help you out with that, just let us know. not sure if I'm saying this to the right LCs. I know that some of our LCs need this, but yeah, just keep that in mind, okay? Okay. Okay, thanks. And then like one of the final steps is the idea behind tracking daily. And I know that especially for some of you who are losing some members, it might be hard. I just would like to share with you the idea behind pipeline and forecast. Because when people ask you like how many companies you have in your pipeline, at the end of the day, it's almost everything you have and all the possibilities you have. What actually matters is the forecast. So if you're supposed to tell us, if you're supposed to tell your LCP, which contract are you closing by the end of this week or by the next one? Like which contract would be, how many opportunities from which company? Like those are the questions you need to start answering right now and not just what you have in your pipeline. And for your members, you do need to align the individual goal in a one-on-one basis and ask yourselves like, what do you rather do? Like losing this person just because this person doesn't want to do the workload required, or actually developing them? And sometimes that's what I feel like it hurts a little bit, because of course we have here people who would be asking questions and be concerned about the membership, etc. But it's also like in an individual basis, what did this person learn this week? What did this person did differently this week? Like I don't have like the best tool for coaching or something like this. Most of the things that I did during my VP and LCP term, I pretty much look up on Google. But like I would have like a set of 5-7 questions to drive a conversation with each one of my members, so I could see like if they were growing as people and professionals or not while performing. And sometimes they were not, and that's why they were not performing. And sometimes they were and they were performing. So does any of you have ever done like coaching, not like one-on-one or tracking, but actually coaching with your members already? Oh,
Wait, what was the question? I missed that. Sorry.
if you have done coaching with your members already, not tracking, not one-on-one, but like a real coaching.
I mean, I guess I try to fit it into one-on-ones, but not like a. What kind of like coaching do you mean? Like just helping them out with their pipeline, or?
It's kind of more soft, like where you ask more questions than actually push them, you know? Of course, at some point of it you push, but you know those questions, like if you look up coaching questions on Google now, you're gonna find very more like soft skills.
Yeah. Okay.
I guess that's what I would address.
Okay.
Eres?
Mel, Mike, Simone, have you done something?
Actually, yeah, like in the functional meeting, I kind of just we align a way how we approach the company. Like yeah, we address the problem why the pass doesn't work, and I like suggest them that maybe we should change the way how we approach the company, and then they give their own opinion, and then we just come up with a like just better plan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Sorry, Mel, just one thing. Like definitely, like in terms of operations, this helps a lot, and like keep doing that. What I'm also challenging you guys to do is maybe in a monthly basis. You don't need to do with every member, with the ones who you think it's worth your time and like it's bringing you more results also, which is like where this person is right now in their iGE career. Like how is their personal lives? Are they like fulfilling the goal they had for the organization? Are they enjoying it? Are they not enjoying it? Like what they're doing next to evolve. Does it make sense? Now, you would say something about this? Would you say something?
No, that's fine. I'm good. You spoke about it.
Oh, okay, cool. And yeah, and what I would like push harder, like in a team environment, is like the idea behind the forecast itself. So like, what is going to be your like your individual contribution, and like what you're bringing in a short term. We have discussed that, and then like the final one, and I think maybe that might be the hardest one, which is you being the role model. So like if you don't do meetings, if you don't show up for working spaces, if you don't open opportunities, how can you expect your members to do it? Like most of them have never experienced success. And like they need, especially like here in the US, like we need people in the local level who see things as possible. And that's why I would like actually to share with you the idea that for you might be very hard right now, for the ones also running like GE and GT, might be very hard like to keep in touch with all these companies and also like the members and managing them. What I would keep in your mindset and in the mindset of your members is you need to try at least 12 times interact with the company. If you didn't try 12 times, you didn't try enough. And thinking about someone who has been very helpful to the network, which is Mel, I think you have shared a little bit about your experience so far, Mel, but you have been working very nicely with individual contribution and team management. Like if you're supposed to say like what you're doing and what you think you're doing nice and what are the things you would like you think would be worth to share, what that would be. You're so beautiful in the picture,
Okay.
Mel. Oh my god.
Yeah. Okay, so one of the things that I thought was really important when I first started out in my term was like the best way to show a team to do something is to do it yourself. So I went on the meetings, I went to the networking events. I'm doing that because, like Vinny said, that shows them that you're there to help them as well. Another thing that I did is right after I recruited, I like looked at which specific college and the university each person's from, because those have very different cultures in terms of what they really focus on. So one of ours focuses on creating like a bigger purpose in their work because they're international relations and global studies, while people from our business school have more of a competitive background. And so for them, in order to kind of like light a fire for them, it was comparing them to other LCs and like letting them know that they can do it and they can like achieve the higher numbers they want. In terms of like goal setting for all of them, that's something I sat down and did with them. We talked about, like I said earlier, what each person wants to contribute, what they think they're capable of. And I talked about what you can do versus what you want to do, because those two are often different and you have to find a way for them to align. And another thing that might not apply to everyone, but I made sure, like I'm currently working on this, is making sure that my TLs act as like mini VPs of the sub functions that they have. So that means I've been handing them responsibilities like FTM, and they're responsible for tracking their own members to hold them accountable, as well as they have to hold, as well as I hold them accountable for their individual sales, and they help hold me accountable for that as well, because that's just how it's going to work. And another thing is making sure that all the members feel personally responsible in that they should be contributing something to the team. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing.
Awesome. And then it comes next, which is like, guys, do you have any questions for yourselves, for Mel, for me? What do you think? Like, what do you need? Like, I'm giving you some information, and I know that they're not brand new, but I wanna make sure that these opportunities, like this call, they're helpful. So tell me, like, what do you need help with? That's the crying space also, okay, Mel? So if you wanna cry about your member who left, you be my guest.
She wasn't that great anyway, I'm not gonna lie. Wasn't too impressed by her.
Awkward silence. Come on, guys. What did happen, Mike?
So New York City has a very shitty schedule. So like we don't start school till like February 1st. So basically up until rocks, we're mostly just doing recruitment. And then our newbies, their first experience in Isaac is rocks. Or they might have maybe had a FTM like right before it. So I had a new member who went to rocks, and he was, for lack of a better term, disappointing. He first didn't show up to half of the sessions, and when he did show up, he was late. Kind of was like really rude to Amanda during the functional phases, acted like he knew what he was doing already, even though he had not done any of it before. And then he left the conference early, and me and my VPTM were just like, there's no way, no matter how good he becomes, there's no way he's going to stay after that. So like, he was gone.
Man.
And it's like very shocking because so I didn't interview him. My LCP and my VPTM did, and they both said he had one of the better interviews. And right after that interview, they were like, "Oh, this person's made for iGT. Like, this is going to be one of the best members." And I just had that mindset because that's what they told me. So just having this is my first impression of him, it was disappointing and shocking.
Why do people pay to go to conferences and do this kind of things? I don't understand.
Said is like you pay to be there and then you don't go to things. It's like at least get your money's worth. Like I don't understand. So and then he was rude to some of our like other members also. So it was just bad overall. Like
oh my god,
I don't know how we got him in. I don't know.
How many people do you have working with you right now?
On my team,
Yeah.
I have 3 newbies, my TL, and me. So there's 5 of us on iGT.
Got it. Oh, interesting, buddy. Interesting.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's okay though. My other members are like way better, so at least in mindset and things like that. You know, they're still learning. You know, they're only like two weeks in, so just by our timeline. But whatever.
That's nice. Thomas, Ben, do you have something you'd like to share as well?
Oh yeah. When I just started, we start really late too, so we were focused on the same thing, kind of the same problem like Michael. I just had 2 members that never showed up to anything, so I fired 2 of the oldest members on iGT.
Yay!
Right when I showed up. Yeah. So even though my LCP like really wanted a big team for me, he wanted like around 9 people for me, but now I'm down to like 6 or 7 because people just like left. They moved to other teams. I was really filtering people. It was and it's hard to manage iGT. That's the biggest thing I'm running into. It's hard to delegate work without like tearing your hair out and losing sleep.
I feel that's so hard. So hard. Also,
Yeah,
my team was supposed to be like only a few people, and I ended up recruiting so many more, but I did the same thing Ben did, and I ended up firing like one of my oldest members, and then currently one of them is ghosting us, so that's pretty awful. But yeah.
Wait, what are you guys delegating to your members? Because like I usually just tell we set expectations that they have like this goal that they want to achieve, and to be able to achieve that goal, they have KPIs that they have to reach. So I don't delegate much to them. Like I guess if you saw the first page on that tracker, that's the only thing I delegate to them. So I'm interested to see what you guys delegate.
What I kind of do is like first off, I have them mostly have a set number of sales like to do themselves.
Yeah.
I have a lot of contacts for them to go through, and I just kind of give those contacts to them. I'm like, tackle these, follow up with these, and stuff like that. So it's kind of simple. But
would you be able to? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh no, you're good. Yeah, what were you saying?
I'd say like, can you have them reach out to their own contacts, so then you don't have to delegate your contracts. So like you can or contacts, so you can stay in line with yours. And then when they're able to reach out to their own ones, they have ownership over that person, and they want to see them succeed rather than it's your contract. So they might see it as part of your responsibility, so they don't want to help you with your responsibilities. I think it's better to have like ownership over your own thing.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's
That's
true.
just like maybe an idea.
That makes more sense. I'm trying to get them to take ownership over what they get, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I just don't want them emailing like the info email of certain
Oh,
places
yeah.
around this area. If I give them a contact or if I have a number and I don't have the time to reach out to that number, then like that's when I give it to them. But
Can you
Thomas-
give them
totally
a
see what you
space
mean.
on like how to develop those leads rather than going to the infos? Because like I've like talked to my members and just said like in general, don't go to that. They go to your inbox that no one opens. But if you do like go through the phone book or do lead generation in LinkedIn and do focus list of people that you want to contact.
Yeah, I taught them how to do LinkedIn. Yeah.
Okay.
And I taught them how to go through Isaac Life and how to look for certain contacts that are interested. Taught them how to do premium on LinkedIn as well, how to cancel that account.
Thomas, do you have
It's
them
not just
each
all
do
me giving-
focus lists?
Oh, yeah. They tend to make their own focus list each week, but the thing is, I've actually been bad at enforcing them to follow up with the companies they've been contacting. It's something I kind of want to improve on a little bit, to be perfectly honest. So it feels like the focus list has been changing every week or so.
Yeah, I think it's like the only thing that I'm always afraid when we speak about like delegating things in iGT is that the members are going to screw up with the company. Like they're gonna say something stupid. They're gonna like sometimes like from a bad place, maybe from a good place, but still like cause a bad impression or something like that. But like there's no way for them like to open opportunities like if they don't do it as well, you know? Like I understand like sometimes we get like lose their sleep, but I'm giving you the permission to let them fuck up some companies, guys. Like there's no way like to make them like learn and do things if they don't fuck up some accounts. Like it's kind of expected. Like they don't have to, but like every now and then you're gonna take a look at an email or you're gonna see them like making a call and you're gonna think, oh, this call could be so much better, or this mail could be so much better. But still, like you need to let them do it, you know. Please don't suffer. Don't suffer. Like just let things be how they are, and like you'll figure out later. I promise. Stop suffering, Mel. Stop suffering. You don't have to. So it's gonna be okay. Okay, guys. I don't want IGT suffering. No, IGT is success. You just need to know how to place your energy, but IGT is success. Guys, I don't want to hold you much more here because we are reaching the 1 hour objective. Exactly, Mike. Kick ass, goddammit. Hell yeah. So I was thinking about like something to explain what does make like better things in Isaac, and I think it's attitude. And that's why I brought this cartoon here tonight. I think like you can actually show this to your members. You can say, like MCVP asked me to show you this to make sure you understand your fucking role. Because if people they are complaining too much about everything, about the objections, about the frustrations, if people are not doing like things with a positive attitude, like if they cannot do anything you ask, if they don't have time, if they don't like it, if they don't know, all those mimimis you might have been hearing so far, like you don't need these people. So you don't be afraid of holding them accountable, not just for numbers and companies, etc., but for a positive behavior. Because I think that one thing that makes a lot of difference is, I don't know, like Mel, for example, she's always like with a lot of things going on, and she has just these eyes wide open, but she's always like figuring out and trying like to move forward. And I've never seen Mel complaining too much about anything. Like same for Ben. And I think that we need more people in the network with this kind of behavior and express it with our members as well. Try to not get like frustrated and negative because they are sometimes, but try to shape a culture of like positivity within your team. Does it make sense? Yes or no? Huh? Yes, exactly. I like your energy, Mel. And if you remember this beautiful Indian man, what did he say once? Like there is an inside joke. We have like this inside joke inside my team because Naku, we were in the rocks. He was in the rocks, and they have like a problem with materials or something, and they'll see member comes to him and try to explain that's gonna be like terrible, like how it is, just because there is nothing else to say. And it's one of the first times that people in our team like seen Aku upset about something. And Aku says, I won't lower my standards because of you. You better raise yours. And I think that you should not be afraid of like doing the same with your members. Like you as like leaders, as vice presidents, if you don't raise the bar, no one else will. So keep that in mind. And if you need something, if you need help about it, please let me know. And that's it. I left here at the end some hashtags to make sure you understand. So hashtag play your strengths, hashtag don't be the bottleneck, hashtag try 12 times, hashtag follow up, this is the law, hashtag numbers are good, are gods, hashtag individual goal, hashtag daily tracking. And that's it. Thank you for coming, the four of you.
Thank you, Vinny.
Thank you, Vinny.
Yeah.
Bye, Mom. Bye, everyone
Bye.
else.
You take care. You take care,
I
guys.
don't talk with Dad. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
All right, I have to head out.
Bye
See ya.
bye.